ask for advice, you get money. Ask for money, you get advice.
You shared with me some of your stories which inspire me. I came home a different person, genuinely.
Really? Try to learn as much as possible, as fast as possible, because you don't know when the music will stop. I think emotion is the key thing, no matter what you do. Curveball happen to every single successful person. Your track record only can prove where you are to this point. It's what you do today and tomorrow and going back again and again to repeat the consistency and resilience of what do you want to achieve that can prove who you are for the future.
Sorry, there's so many wows lately.
Isn't that good?
Welcome to Closer with Lydia Chen. Lydia is an ex-climate tech banker with a wealth of experiences in Hong Kong, London, and New York. After almost a decade of banking, Lydia has decided to move into the vibrant ecosystem of startups. She is now an entrepreneur with a competitive Answer UK 11. Lydia, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's so nice to meet you again. Yeah.
Yes.
And thanks for the coffee. It really boosts me up because it's like a 3 p.m. session that we're having today, is it?
Yeah, it's almost 5.
We're also just discussing about your move from, the different like Hong Kong, London, New York. Those are like very different places. Mm-hmm. What are the challenges of moving to different cities, and what's the best part of it as well, if you could walk me through?
I think everybody, you as well, have been through that path, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like sometimes life makes decisions for us, not just that we intentionally push ourselves to do something. But for me, it's always like I felt like I have no choice. And then when I was 20-something, I wanted to go to the US for my master's degree. I was kind of just following all my friends. They've left like a long time ago when they went there for a bachelor degree. I only started way later. And then I remember when I landed in the JFK airport, I was like, okay. So I was in the most typical international students outlook, like outfit of all time.
So like the designers.
Just people can see that she has no clue what's going on. I almost sported like a black cap, not a good one,
Yeah.
And she's like, "Where are you going?" I was like, "I'm going to this." And this he's like, "Okay, $50." And then I was almost there, but then I was like, no, I have somebody who's picked me up. I need to go back at the same time. And when I walked back there, I spotted another international student who has no clue. And then we immediately bonded. We were like, oh, are you here for that program? She's like, yes, I am. So I think that's how, it's funny that you said that, like, or some people, they will ask me, oh, you've been in banking for 10 years. How come you all of a sudden want to become an entrepreneur or want to do something like a startup? But actually, building something from scratch, it's the same as moving from one place that you know how to navigate to somewhere that's completely different from your experience. It's easy to watch something from the movies, right? If you look at New York or London, it's always nice.
Yeah.
They take the best clip and then they add a lot of filters and effects and things like that. But when you're actually there, it's about like today the weather is horrible, and it's about like the tube doesn't work. It's about the New York City subway is full of rats. Those kind of things that nobody will actually teach you. Yeah. But I think the process of building something, like basically building your life up from no support network to somewhere you can confidently walk around and people will come up to you and as if you're a local. It's the same as you build a company or start something, like when you do it for this podcast. At the beginning, you don't know what to do. It's something that you gain only by living it and only by doing it. You need to understand how to get the information without being able to draw reference from somebody in front, like somebody from your family or close circle. You need to be able to face the failure and a lot of rejections just because you don't know what to do. And you also need to be able to be bold enough to ask for things that you didn't think that you would get answer from. So I think those are all of those parallel comparison you can make by moving from somewhere to another place. Like the most recent episode, when I moved to London, I didn't think that it would be that hard, because I was like, look, I've lived in Hong Kong for 6 years. How hard can it be to move to London? Even the interior design of the bus is the same.
You paid attention to the very details.
It's a double-decker bus, the same as Hong Kong. And then, but the first day I landed, not gonna lie, I don't know whether it's because of the pandemic. I haven't been traveled for so long.
Yeah,
I just felt like I was placed in the sim. The sim, the video game. And then I was like a figure that's almost couldn't fit in. Because everything is so big here. It's almost as if they put Hong Kong and 2 times it. And, and then the second day, after I configure everything, it's way more normal. But I think it's those experiences that actually boost your confidence and the way that you can tell yourself, like, these are the experiences that I experienced myself. Like, nobody actually helped me to get there. And I should be fine. Like, whatever that life have in store for me.
That's really good. And then you also mentioned earlier that you moved from banking into the more pathless path, you said. So what would you recommend people, and maybe you could speak from experience here, what did you consider when you're making that move, that shift? Is there anything that you would recommend other people to think about as well before jumping ship?
Yeah, I would say a lot of people, they put a rosy picture about the move, like escape 9 to 5, things like that. Sometimes life doesn't really give you a chance to make that. But then I think what's really the only thing that doesn't change in life is change itself. So whatever, it's not from me. Somebody said it. But I think whatever. So I lost my job 2 years ago in Hong Kong. That was really, really tough for me because it was the first time I don't know what to do, and I wasn't as confident as I am now either. So I was at the time trying to navigate how can I pick myself up, and that was when I realized, when you have the chance to learn in the traditional industry or you have a job to do, try to learn as much as possible, as fast as possible, because you don't know when the music will stop. Because that was during the pandemic. Before that, like a lot of my friends, or me included, we just wanted to, get stuff done, send it to the manager, and then forget about it, right? And call it a day. But it actually, if you think it for your own life and career, it shouldn't work like that, because we should be the CEO of our own life, or whatever experience and network that you build is for yourself. True, today you might work for some company or a bank or a law firm, but the skill sets and the network and the ability that you'll be able to navigate the future is for yourself. So I would say, if I'm going to tell myself when I first started in my career, I would say to myself, like, don't resist the work that much, just because I think there's a way you should gamify the system. Like, you navigate every day as if I'm finishing a task for my future self, not because I'm finishing a task for my manager. Because at the end of the day, when I was really, really young, basically I know nothing, right? Like they're basically paying me to learn. But then that period of time could be really, really short before people run out of patience, because it's not a school at the same time, and it's really, really competitive. There's no like a black and white face you can put to yourself. It's not like today I'm in the traditional path and tomorrow I decide I'm going to cut everything. Somebody told me about this. He said, sometimes life made decisions for you that unintentionally push you to a better direction for yourself. And that's sort of how it happened for me. Some people, they may make their own decision to jump ship, and they might have the courage. But I think something that everyone should think, or I wouldn't advise other people, but at least for myself, is you need to understand who you are as a person. Like, you said that I'm an ex-climate tech banker. I'm a climate tech person. It doesn't matter where I am. Like now, I'm not working for a bank, but I'm still connecting through my other efforts with the people who are working in the climate tech sector. Those are the times that that's my identity, and nobody can take away from me. So everybody should really think it through what drives you and what is your passion about life. And because once you have that, you have something that's bigger than the task at hand, then you will have the reason to work on it no matter whether you're getting paid or not. And usually when you're passionate doing something, even if you're not getting paid, and if that area is by chance, I'm really lucky I'm in the climate sector, it's basically the future, then I am hopeful and also optimistic that although at the beginning it might be tough, but then future will be bright.
And then, as you mentioned there, I think I really like the point where you're saying, your job may shift, but who you are as a person will stay. And then now I think I'm just going to come back to the climate bit, the climate tech person now. Yeah. What is one trend or innovation in the industry that excites you lately?
Oh, yes.
I think I would love to know that.
I can talk about it for like hours. I think what really excites me is there are so many people paying attention to this area, no matter who you are, no matter what industry that you're working in. Something that I really am passionate about is carbon removal technology. So carbon removal, long story short, is different from carbon offset. Everybody should understand that. Carbon removal means you're actually removing CO2 from the atmosphere. So carbon offset is sometimes you can use like a creative mathematics. A lot of industry, they're doing something good. That's why they get the offset allowance. But that doesn't mean they're actually removing CO2 from the atmosphere. So carbon removal in and of itself is actually removing CO2 from the atmosphere. That I would say I'm really excited about this industry because it just got picked up last year in May, and that's where I want to focus my next chapter of my career in. Wow. So it doesn't matter which part of the ecosystem that I focus on, I'm going to go into this because it's a completely new industry. So if anyone who's thinking of the next career move, I would say work in climate and going into the carbon removal industry. You can work in any part as a stakeholder in the industry.
Wow. Yep. That sounds so cool. Yeah, as you said, I think when I think about carbon, I always think of I always sort of think about carbon offsetting. And then now you mentioned this new industry, and I'm like, that is so exciting because if we could actually decrease that in such a way that we remove it, that is really interesting.
Yeah. So it's not 100% new. People have been working in this for so long, but it just recently got picked up by the trend or whatsoever regulation. Just a simple fact is, in 2019, we have 59 gigatons, or it's the same in 2023 actually, 59 gigatons of greenhouse gas in the atmosphere. So greenhouse gas, you have CO2, you have methane and SF6, all of those. Okay. But CO2 is the most prominent one and dominant one. And then those 59 gigatons doesn't mean once we have carbon removal, it will clear all of them. It cannot. We need to do everything else, like electrify the grid, electrify the grid, and then fix how we eat things, how we produce things, decarbonize the industry, everything else. That will, after like several years after all of those smart people are doing their work, you can remove 49. You can drop the level to 49 gigatons, but then there's still 10 gigatons of CO2 or greenhouse gas that would be in the atmosphere that you need physical removal. Wow. Because when CO2, once it's in the atmosphere, it's going to stay there for hundreds of years. And that's why we couldn't just rely on the natural weathering process. Because some people would say that, we have this earth and the sun and everything. They're doing their own thing, right? And trees. Yes, that's true. According to a study, I think your audience needs to fact check themselves, but then I think it's 0.3 gigatons of CO2 every year. That's a slow carbon cycle by nature, but we need to remove 10.
It's incomparable.
Yes, so we need. I saw this meme the other day. Yeah, it's basically that movie Everything Everywhere All at Once. Yeah. That's what we need in carbon removal. It doesn't matter what pathway, like just let's go.
That is actually really intense. Like,
Yes.
I personally, I didn't know the scale is that much. So thank you so much for bringing that out, because yeah, I think for a lot of young people, we sort of know in the back of our head and how urgent it is, but we don't know the scale as to how much work we need to put in. So thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Thank you so much for having me to explain.
And then I think as you mentioned earlier, you have this bite-sized podcast, which I would really recommend people to also subscribe on, because like what you said, it's so straight to the point. I personally watch some of your podcasts as well. It's so good.
Yeah.
And you're also doing all of these other amazing work alongside your, like the climate tech, also your startups, etc. So I'm sure you've met a lot of people from different backgrounds and, like, as you've mentioned, very smart people. So maybe if you're so generous to share with us one of the best advice that you've received, that would be amazing.
I think advice works in different seasons depending on where you are. But I reflect in the past several months when I need advice the most. There's one sentence that came back to me again and again. It's not straight to me, but I went to a startup event, and there's this guy who has been working in investment for a long, long time. His advice to startup founders, not to me, is ask for advice, you get money. Ask for money, you get advice. This is so true.
Wow. Oh, I actually have no comment. I'm shocked.
But when I listened to that, I was only a participant in that. It's like a startup pitch event in LBS. I went there because one of my friends, he was on the panel and he's like, do you want to come with me? So I went, and I wasn't even paying a lot of attention, but this sentence caught my attention. I remember that. And as I went through my own journey, then this sentence keep coming back to me. I feel like it's the same as why people want to help people who have a good energy, because like if I ask for senior people to give me advice, they will give me advice, right? But then if they see that I'm an investable human being, then money is not an issue. But if I ask people for money, then they will be like, yeah, you're a good kid. This is the advice. Like, think about it.
That is true, actually.
Think about it. You want people to emotionally invest in you. So that because emotion is, I think emotion is the key thing, no matter what you do. If you can capture people's emotion, the same for content creation, same for writing, same for any type of conversation. If you can capture people's emotion and they were sort of in this thing with you, then they also want you to succeed. And when they want you to succeed, what happened? Right?
That is so good.
Yeah.
Wow. And also, I think I just want to talk about now just a little bit of a rogue question. I asked this to one of the people that I was interviewing with the other day, and it was I sort of received very interesting answers. I want to do the same to you.
Yeah.
What was one thing you used to put on a pedestal that you no longer do now?
That's a very interesting question. I can come up with a lot, but I think it all boils down to titles. So I think in the past we all have. I always admire for people who has a great role as a CEO or like an MD in a bank, or they're like number one, or they went to a Ivy League school. Nowadays, I don't look at the service that much because I think people, one, title means something, but doesn't mean that people should be entitled of their titles. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Because it doesn't say anything. Also, your past, your history, your track record only can prove where you are to this point. It's what you do today and tomorrow and going back again and again to repeat the consistency and resilience of what do you want to achieve that can prove who you are for the future. I think that was the one thing.
Wow. Sorry, there's so many wows lately. That is good. That is really good. And I think last time we spoke, we also talked about dealing with curveballs in life. And I think what I noticed from you when I just have to, you're probably tired of hearing this, but again and again, I keep on telling you, you have such an indomitable spirit where you just don't give up. And I love that about you. You shared with me some of your stories, which inspire me. I came home a different person, genuinely.
Really?
Yeah.
What did you do? Tell me.
I started opening a book and started writing that. Just kidding. But really, it really inspired me. And if you could share some of, if you're willing, obviously, I'm not going to push you, but if you're willing to sort of share a little bit about your experience, that would be, I hope some of my podcast viewers could also be moved the way I was.
I don't think I'm intentionally want to be an energetic person,
Yeah.
but it has a lot to do with how you manage your day. It all starts from me going to the gym, actually. I was listening to this podcast just now, Adam Grant. So he is a professor, I think, in Wharton. So he wrote several very good books, Think Again, Original, and all of those stuff. So he's interviewing a Peloton instructor, like the top Peloton instructor.
Yeah.
And what she said is, so have an opportunity when they are consistently moving and working out to become their favorite self. I really like that. It's not about the best self. It's the self that I come to like myself. Because I never used to be, I never have high energy, like never. I was always the one who's very pessimistic about things. And when I was younger, one of the things I put on pedestal is also all of those smart and beautiful girls around me. I was never one of them, at least in my understanding of myself. Because guys always ask me to get to those other girls.
Oh no!
Yeah. But then that was the things do change, right? And that's what I think life is. Even though it's cliche, it's like a marathon, not a sprint. So when I went through a breakup. It's all on the not all on the internet, but basically, I went through a breakup, and then this gym came to me after 6 months. After a few months, they saw my change. They see my change in the gym. I remember my personal trainer's boss went to him, and he's like, "Who's that girl who becomes so like she's pretty? Like where did she come from? You know?" And then my personal trainer was like, "No, she's here all year long." So I become one of the person they want to put like a video to promote their personal trainer business, basically. But they only select one every year. And
wow.
And I lost 4 kilograms in 2 months, basically. But then I didn't do it. I was 58, and then it's 54.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
But then the weight is not that doesn't matter that much. It's about your body fat as well. So my body fat dropped to like 18%. I remember I wrote down in the resolution list at the beginning of that year, like I want my body fat to drop to 20%. I laugh at myself. I was like, this is never going to happen. Because before that breakup, my body fat is like around 29. And then all of a sudden in November, I remember that day I did this body fat test, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, this is insane. And from that point on, my life started to change because it doesn't matter like banking or going to a great school. Those are the things that I believe I can achieve. But becoming healthy, become somebody whose identity is like a healthy gym person was never in my dictionary. Okay. Like people came to me and they were like, how did you do that? You know? And that was the part that I think that's set as a foundation for me to have the energy and the confidence and the ritual type of habit for me to face anything in life, to the point that last time when I lost my job, when I was in Hong Kong, like one of my good friends, she's also a friend at work, and she's like, yeah, you were kind of horrible when you were going through that breakup. But this time, I feel like it's very different. I think you'll be fine.
Get yourself honest friends.
Yeah. The thing I want to say the most is, no matter what curveball that life gives it to you, you need to do the thing that's the best for yourself. So the first thing that you need to get it right is to stay healthy. You get to all of those are Google, like one Google away. You need to be able to sleep for 6-7 hours a day at least. go to the gym. I was sometimes when I don't know what to do, I just go to the gym because it's very seldom that you feel worse after a workout session, and usually that's when you disconnect with like all of those iPhones and messages and people's fancy life on Instagram, right? You're doing something for yourself. The next day you feel better. The next time you can lift heavier, and I think that really gives you a lot of confidence towards whatever that you want to achieve. That would be my number one advice. And then the second thing is curveball happened to every single successful person. I think, according to the memoirs that I've read, right, from Obama to Trevor Noah, a lot of people, they didn't start being successful. They're successful when we see them. But before that, they've encountered a lot of hurdles and obstacles. It's about how to deal with it that made them who they are today. And then the other thing I keep thinking to myself is, it's always good to start something for yourself. Like the way that you're doing the podcast, the way that I was doing the podcast on my YouTube channel. True, at the beginning, nobody paid attention. But at one point, they would be like, oh, you're doing something for yourself that you're passionate about consistently. That creates the energy and the aura around you that will convince other people to want to be around you as well. Yeah.
That's really good. I think I did not expect from this podcast, the last thing that I would like, I did not expect that your tip would be physical movement. And I think now that I really reflect on it, that is so true. Whenever I work a little bit like too much to the point that I'm not really moving a lot, I'm just on my desk and etc., I definitely feel like my clarity, everything is not as sharp as, and now that you mention it, I really feel like, I think I always put that as second place. Like physical movement is just something that maybe I just do it so that, I'm getting ready for summer. But then really, it's not just the aesthetics, but it's also how you feel.
Yeah, do it for your future self.
That is so good.
Yeah.
This is a very difficult question because you love books that much. But if you could filter that many books that you've read to just 5 books that everyone should read in their lifetime, what would it be? That is hard, isn't it?
That's pretty hard. As of my knowledge of today, quoting from ChatGPT, so I think the number one book people should read is Factfulness. It's written by Hans Rosling. So he has passed away, but this book is so good. It's written in a way that telling you by data and statistics, the world is better than we thought and believe in. Go read. I read that book. I was like, every single time, every word, I was like, this is so good. And it put me in the perspective of being a realistic optimist. So,
okay, that's an interesting word.
Yeah.
Realistic optimist.
Yeah, realistic because you know what's going on in the world. There's some bad things happening every day, but you know that we will be able to make things happen and change that so that we are all heading towards a better future. So that's being an optimist. And so he has a very famous TED Talk. So if people want to watch it, that's very good as well. So that's the first book I would recommend. Second book is my recent favorite is called The Third Door by Alex Banayan. So he's he's not 18 anymore, but he started this quest to write a book for him and his college friends because he feels like he's not learning enough in university. One of his opening, he's like, I came here to get answers, but I just have more questions than ever before.
I can relate.
Yes.
In every situation.
So he's like, what if I can ask all the successful people to teach me and my friends some advice how to be successful? So on his list, he has Bill Gates, Lady Gaga, and all of those people, right? So he's been through a lot of rejections, and the whole metaphor about the third door is most of the time in business and in life, or they use a nightclub metaphor. So if you go to a nightclub, you have a normal door that everybody, 99% of people go through. And then you have a VIP door, it's the second door. And then the third, but there's always a third door you can get access to. But you need to sustain great suffering. Maybe you need to like go through the alleyway and talk to an inner guy. And, it's sometimes by luck and by chance, but also by your efforts to get to that third door. But for me, I think the book is way more than that. I feel like because I'm also trying to build a different path for myself, the book sort of gives me hope that if you try enough times, you can get there. But it's like this book I've been telling for in the past 5 days, because I finished like within a week or something. I've been telling every single soul in my life.
Yeah.
Please read that. The third one is Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. So
Okay.
Shoe Dog, Phil Knight is the founder of Nike. It's really good. It's a memoir, but he's such a good storyteller. It's like watching a movie coming alive from the book itself. And it's similar to the third door, but 50 years before that happened, because he started Nike, I think, in last century, right? And then basically what he did is he traveled around the world after graduating from Stanford Business School, and he really wanted to make shoes for some reason. And he went to Japan. A very big retailer. It's called Tiger something. They still have They still have it in London. It's still a separate brand.
Yeah.
So then he went to that. He basically go through the third door and went to that Japanese company and say that I want to be your exclusive U.S. distributor for the market. Those people believe in him. His first,
Wow.
he didn't even have an address yet. He just made up a name called Blue Ribbon. At the time, he said, "This is my address." He put his mom's home address. And that's how he started it. And that's really good. And the fourth one, I think, Atomic Habits. Everyone should read it. Everyone should read it. I came across this book 2019 when I started to build my habits. So I lost weight around end of 2018. I wasn't sure about myself. And then in the summer of 2019, I went to a trip in Spain. I was talking to this ghostwriter. And at the time, Atomic Habit just came out. And he learned that I love reading. Right? Everybody would know when they talk to me for more than 5 minutes. And he's like, "Oh, you should read this book called Atomic Habit." And that was the time I need to solidify my habit. Because a lot of people will lose weight after they go through a breakup. But not many people can keep it. Because things change. You feel like, oh, now I'm slim and whatsoever. And then you start to eat a lot of rubbish again.
Yeah.
And also, he has this 1% better metaphor. So if you get 1% better, you become, I think, 137 times better at the end of the day. The compound effects. So that's when I was like, I should use all of these to apply to all the changes that I have. And also he has all of these very practical ways how you can build up your habits bit by bit. Because nobody can, like, I look at my own, even from my habit of going to the gym, now I almost go every day. But at the beginning, I only go maybe 3-4 times a week. But you need to build it up so slowly. Once you internalize something that become part of your routine, you can build something on top of that. So Atomic Habit, that's all-time bestseller on any bookstore now. So I think people should read it. Finally, it was a book that I really loved last year. It's a fiction called Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow.
I've never heard of this one.
Oh, you will love it. Everybody love it.
Wow.
So it's a fiction about two people. They are not lovers, but they make video games together.
Okay.
And it's a boy and a girl. It's more than a love story. It's so beautifully written, and it's like have all those dramatic things that you want to read in the fiction. I don't want to spoil alert that much, but it's just really good. I keep reading until like 2 a.m. in the morning. So it's also Bill Gates, one of Bill Gates' favorite book. It's also Amazon Book of the Year of 2023.
Okay, this fiction book you're saying.
It's really good. And then I said one of the quotes of the book is, "At the end of the day, it's the work, not the accolades, that matters." So no matter what book you're reading, right, it's basically the same thing. Enjoy the process, enjoy the journey. It's journey before destination. create a flow state of activities for your work. So you enjoy it, learn it. Just one day at a time.
That's so
Thank
good.
you very much.
Thank you so much for being here today, Lydia. Yeah. Oh my gosh.